Getting the silver staff of shaming and the staff of Magnus was actually very quick and somewhat easy. Now we head to this nearby Dwemer ruin named something like Nchuleftingth. This is another duty that Edwina Elbert has tasked me with. However, I would really like to return to the Imperial Cult and complete all the work that they have given to me, which I plan to do after the Dwemer ruin. I think it's rather funny that Shani has chosen to wear the red rank guard helm like that. It actually doesn't look too funny with the rest of her outfit, but it does hide her pretty face, which isn't what I want. I find her extremely attractive now, all the more so since we are, in her words, having fun together. I guess I can play that game for now. But eventually there will have to be something more. Well, more official from her own mouth. I know how she feels about me. I see it in her eyes, the warmth of her words, and her often finding an excuse to touch me or stay close to me. It tells me that how she feels about me is how I feel about her. I can understand that she's had her own experiences and must have been really let down or hurt by others in her life, so she's trying to play this as casual. But I know this game from my experience, because I did the same thing when I was younger. And when you find someone that you really like and they feel the same, things set the course from there and a deeper bond will eventually form. Like turns into love, and love, if you have any integrity, turns into an official union of some kind, usually marriage. When she stops playing and regards us as something serious, then we can move on to the next step. Well, this is going to be another all night. I guess I could read by my shield light. We'll just take a little break here. A game at dinner. I've been wanting to read this about King Helseth by an anonymous spy. Forward from the publisher. The history behind this letter is almost as interesting and dark as the story it tells. The original letter to the mysterious Dwemer was copied and began circulating around the ashlands of Vardenfell a few months ago. In time, a print found its way to the mainland and Prince Hlaalu Helseth's palace outside Almalexia. While the reader may conclude, after reading this letter, that the prince would be furious about such a work, impugning his highness with great malevolence, quite the reverse was true. The prince and his mother Queen Baranziah had privately printed into bound copies and sent to libraries and booksellers throughout Morrowind. As matter of record, the prince and the queen have not officially stated whether this letter is a work of pure imagination or based on an actual occurrence. The House Dress has publicly denounced the work, and indeed no one named Dwemer, despite the suggestions in the letter, has ever been linked to the house. We leave the reader to interpret the letter as he or she believes. Nariscan Publisher. Dark Liege Dwemer. You asked for a detailed description of my experience last night and the reasons for my plea to House Dress for another assignment. I hope I have served you well in my capacity as informant for the court of Prince Helseth, a man who I have stated in many previous reports could teach Molag Bal how to scheme. As you know, I've spent nearly a year now working my way into his inner circle of advisors. He was in need of friendship when he first arrived in Morrowind and eagerly took to me and a few others. Still, he was disinclined to trust any of us, which is perhaps not surprising given his tenuous position in Morrowind society. For your unholiness's recollection, the prince is the eldest son of Baranziah, who was once the queen of Morrowind and once the queen of High Rock Kingdom of Wayrest. At the death of her husband, Prince Helseth's stepfather, King Edwire, there was a power struggle between the prince and Edwire's daughter, the Princess Elisana. Though details of what transpired are imperfect, it is clear that Elisana won the battle and became queen, banishing Helseth and Baranziah. Baranziah's only other child, Morgaia, had already left court to marry and become queen of the Somerset Isle kingdom of Firstfold. Baranziah and Helseth crossed the continent to return to Morrowind only last year. They were well received by Baranziah's uncle, our current king, Hlaalu Athan Lethen, who has taken the throne after Baranziah's abdication more than 40 years ago. Baranziah made it clear that she had no designs on reclaiming the throne, but merely to retire to her family estates. Helseth, as you know, has lingered in the royal court, and many have whispered that while he lost the throne of Wayrest, he does not intend to lose the throne of Morrowind at Lethen's death. I've kept your unholinesses informed of the prince's movements, meetings, and plots, as well as the other names and characters of his other advisors. As you may recall, I've often thought that I was not the only spy in Helseth's court. I told you before that a particular Dunmer counselor of Helseth looked like a fellow I had seen in the company of Tholer Serioni, the archcanon of the Tribunal Temple. Another, a young Nord woman, has been verified to visit the Imperial Fortress in Balmora. Of course, in their cases, they might well have been on Helseth's own business, but I couldn't be certain. I had begun to think myself paranoid as the prince himself when I found myself doubting the sincere loyalty of the prince's chamberlain, Burgess, a Breton who had been in his employ since his days in the court of Wayrest. That is the background on that night. Last night. Yesterday morning, I received a curt invitation to dine with the prince. Based only on my own paranoia, I dispatched one of my servants, who is a good and loyal servant of House Dress, to watch the palace and report back anything unusual. Just before dinner, he returned and told me what he had witnessed. A man cloaked in rags had been given entrance into the palace and had stayed there for some time. When he left, my servant saw his face beneath the cloak, an alchemist of infamous repute, said to be a leading supplier of exotic poisons. A fine observer, my servant also noticed that the alchemist entered the palace smelling of wickweed, bittergreen, and something alien and sweet. When he left, he was odorless. He had come to the same conclusion as I did. The prince had procured ingredients to prepare a poison. Bittergreen alone is deadly when eaten raw, but the other ingredients suggested something far deeper. As your unholiness can doubtless imagine, I went to dinner that night prepared for any eventuality. All of Prince Helseth's other counselors were in attendance, and I noticed that all were slightly apprehensive. Of course, I imagined that I was in a nest of spies and all knew of the prince's mysterious meeting. It is just as likely that some knew of the alchemist's visit, while others were simply concerned by the nature of the prince's invitation, and still others merely unconsciously adopted the tense disposition of their fellow, better-informed counselors. The prince, however, was in fine mettle and soon had everyone relaxed and at ease. At 9, we were all ushered into his dining hall, where the feast had been laid out, and what a feast! Honeyed gorapples, fragrant stews, roasts in various blood sauces, and every variety of fish and fowl expertly and ostentatiously prepared. Crystal and gold flagons of wine, Flynn, Sheen, and Massey were at our seats, to be savored as appropriate with each course. As tantalizing as the aromas were, it occurred to me that in such a maze of spices and flavors, a discreet poison would be undetectable. Throughout the meal, I maintained the illusion of eating the food and drinking the liquor, but I was surreptitious and swallowed nothing. Finally, the plates and food were cleared from the table, and a tureen of spicy broth was placed in the center of the banquet. The servant who brought it then retired, closing the banquet hall door behind him. "It smells divine, my prince," said Marchioness Colgar, the Nord woman, "but I cannot eat another thing." "Your Highness," I added, feigning a tone of friendliness and slight intoxication, "you know that every one at this table would gladly die to put you on the throne of Morrowind, but is it really necessary that we gorge ourselves to death?" The others at the table agreed with appreciative groans. Prince Helseth smiled. "I swear by Venerma, the gifter, my dark liege, even you have never seen a smile such as this one." Ironic words, you see. An alchemist visited me today, as some of you already doubtless know. He showed me how to make a marvelous poison and its antidote. A most potent potion, excellent for my purposes. No restoration spell will aid you once you've ingested it. Only the antidote in the tureen will save you from certain death. And what a death, from what I've heard. I am eager to see if the effects are all that the alchemist promised. It should be horribly painful for the afflicted, but quite entertaining. No one said a word. I could feel my heart beating hard in my chest. "Your Highness," said Alarat, the Dwemer I suspected of alliance with the temple, "have you poisoned someone at this table?" "You are very astute, Alarat," said Prince Helseth, looking about the table, eyeing each of his advisors carefully. "Little wonder I value your counsel, as indeed I value all in this room. It would be perhaps easiest for me to say who I haven't poisoned. I haven't poisoned any who serve but one master, and whose loyalty to me is sincere. I haven't poisoned any person who wants to see King Helseth on the throne of Morrowind. I haven't poisoned anyone who isn't a spy for the Empire, the Temple, the House of Telvanni, the House of Redoran, the House of Indoril, the House of Dress." "Your Unholiness," he looked directly at me at his last words. I know that in certainty, my face is practiced at keeping my thoughts from showing, but I immediately thought of every secret meeting I've had, every coded message I sent to you and the house, my dark liege. What could he know? What could he, even without knowing, suspect? I felt my heart beating even faster. Was it fear or poison? I couldn't speak, certain as I was that my voice will betray my calm facade. Those loyal to me who wish harm on my enemies may be wondering how I can be certain that the poison has been ingested. Is it possible that the guilty party, or dare I say parties, were suspicious and merely pretended to eat and drink tonight? Of course, but even the craftiest of pretenders would have to raise a glass to his or her lips and put empty forks or spoons in their mouths to play the charade. The food, you see, was not poisoned. The cups and cutlery were. If you did not partake out of fear, you're poisoned just the same, and sadly missed an excellent roast. Sweat beaded on my face, and I turned from the prince so he would not see. My fellow advisors, all of them, were frozen in their seats, from the Marchioness Kulgar, white with fear, to Kema Enebi, visibly shaking, from the furrowed, angry brow of Alarat to the statue-like stare of Burgess. I couldn't help thinking then, could the prince's entire counselorship be comprised of nothing but spies? Was there any person at the table loyal? And then I thought, what if I were not a spy myself? Would I trust Helseth to know that? No one knows better than his advisors both the depth of the prince's paranoia and the utter implacability of his ambition. If I were not a spy for the house dress, even then, would I be safe? Could a loyalist be poisoned because of a not-so-innocent misjudgment? The others must have been thinking the same, loyalists and spies alike. While my mind whirled, I could hear the prince's voice, addressing all assembled. The poison acts quickly. If the antidote is not taken within 1 minute from now, there will be death at the table. I couldn't decide whether I had been poisoned or not. My stomach ached, but I reminded myself it might have been the result of sitting at a sumptuous banquet and not partaking. My heart shook in my chest, and a bitter taste like trauma root stung my lips. Again, was it fear or poison? "These are the last words you will hear if you are disloyal to me," said Prince Helseth, still smiling that damned smile as he watched his advisors squirming in their seats. "Take the antidote and live." Could I believe him? I thought of what I knew of the prince and his character. Would he kill a self-confessed spy at his court, or would he rather send the vanquished back to his masters? The prince was ruthless, but either possibility was within his manner. Surely the theatricality of this whole dinner was meant to be a presentation to instill fear. What would my ancestors say if I joined them after sitting at a table, eventually dying of poison? What would they say if I took the antidote, confessing my allegiance to you and the house dress, and was summarily executed? And I confess, I thought of what you might do to me even after I was dead. I had grown so lightheaded and filled with my own thoughts that I didn't see Burgess jump from his seat. I was only suddenly aware that he had the taurine in his hands and was gulping down the liquid within. There were guards all around, though I never noticed them entering. "Burgess," said Prince Helseth, still smiling, "you have spent some time at Ghost Gate, House Radron?" "You didn't know?" Burgess laughed sourly. "No house. I report to your stepsister, the Queen of Wayrest. I've always been in her employ. By Akatosh, you poisoned me because you thought I was working for some damnable dark elves?" "You're half right," said the prince. "I didn't guess who you were working for, or even that you were a spy. But you're also wrong about me poisoning you. You poisoned yourself when you drank from the taurine." "Your Unholiness, you don't need to know how Burgess died. I know that you have seen much over the many, many years of your existence, but you truly don't want to know. I wish I could erase the memory of his agonies from my own mind." The council was dismissed shortly thereafter. I do not know if Prince Helseth knows or suspects that I too am a spy. I do not know how many others last night were as close as I was from drinking from the taurine before Burgess did. I only know that if the prince does not suspect me now, he will. I cannot win at the games he mastered long ago at the court of Wayrest, and I beg your Unholiness, my dark liege, Dwemer, to use your influence in the house dress and dismiss your loyal servant from this charge. Publisher's note: of course the anonymous writer's signature has not been on any reprint of the letter since the original. Very interesting story. Okay, so we have to go to Nchuleftingth. Again? Guess I'm going to be fighting bats all night. Block that attack. Okay, so we're going to have to go downhill back to where abouts I was. Foggy and nighttime, but my shield is lighting at least the area in front of me. Normally you can see a lot further than this. Okay, so Nchuleftingth hopefully is just over this hill. If I recall to Valmora or Divine anything, I'll lose the area I'm in. I'll have to walk back there, and I don't want to do that. So, this must be Nchuleftingth. Okay. Sliding down. Oh, this old palace stay. It still has one of its bolts in there. The entrance got to be right around here. Well, I don't see anybody else to the expedition outside. So I'm supposed to... Again? Well, I'm looking at my inventory. As we check upon Senelius Caduceus, obviously a Imperial, in Nchuleftingth. I can get to... Okay, I don't need to read that. Just check upon Senelius. Kind of like close to my name, actually. So, if there's an expedition in here, I assume I'm not going to be facing a lot of things. This is a very clean place. Hello, you must be...
House brother of Redera. How may I serve you?
I'm Senelius Caduceus, and this is my daughter, Pania. I'm excavating these Dwemer ruins. Oh, did Edwina send you? I'm afraid I don't have an excavation report for her. Why not? I don't exactly have an excavation report for her. Tell Edwina everything is fine. We've just had a few setbacks. Our native guide, Anis Venu, is missing. He's missing, you say? He was taking notes for our next excavation report, and he must have taken it with him when he disappeared. Somehow he must have got into the lower levels. Would you try and find him? Sure. I figured this wouldn't be as easy as it sounds. Hello.
House brother of Redera. How may I serve you?
I'm fine, thank you. What can I do for you? So, what do you know about Anis Vendu, the one who went down and was not come back? I've been worried about him. Right before he left for the lower levels, he kept saying something about the test of pattern. I hope he's alright. Spoke to her for a few minutes. Not a bad-looking Imperial woman. It's old. Well, you know... I am tired. My armor is a little tough, but... I think we could probably rest for a little while in the corner here. It's just a little late. Well, that was uncomfortable. Steel floor, steel armor. I had to take my shirt off and just rest my head on it. Mashi's dress is also quite comfortable, but this is going to be ruined if I keep doing that to it. Dwemer Coher. Obviously this doesn't lead down. Oh, this is another one of those... I've seen this before. It looks up at the stars. Magnagi, I should say. So this must be the way down. Yeah, this is a much nicer place than someone's bedroom long ago. Much nicer place than that first Dwemer ruin I went into by Balmora. But this doesn't mean there's not going to be danger here. Or things that I can loot. Wow, this place is like really maintained. You said there's lower levels? I don't see any way down to a lower level. That doesn't open. It doesn't go down. Oh. I heard something open. Crank seems to be stuck. Okay, I think it does open this. Okay. Let's try this one. And I'm getting poisoned here. Is there a pattern to this? Is it unstuck now? Oh, look at this. It opened up this way. How can an old crank poison you? Let's get it warm up that way. I saw one of these Centurion thingies. Oh, there's an upstairs. I'm just gonna look. Maybe there's a whole chest full of coins. Whoa! They're Dwemer coins. Need scrap metal. That is a huge cog. Gear and something. Okay, as I actually thought that this wouldn't lead anywhere. Take this old emerald. And we go down. Hot, 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 hot. Oh, that must be who I'm looking for. Okay. You must be Anus Venu. Senelius's report. Nchuleftingth, Excavation Report 11. Our excavation have turned up little in these last few days. I have found nothing new in the ruins. Every day, everything seems as clean and undisturbed as the day we first opened the outer doors. I know there are unexplored depths. I can feel massive Dwemer machinery still running beneath my feet, even as I write this, but I can find no way to get to it. You must not give up on us for a lack of results this soon, Edwina. I am sure a great discovery lies somewhere below. If only the secret of Passwell were not lost nearly a generation ago. With a few of those precious scrolls, I would be in the lower levels already, where the real discoveries are to be made. There is some good news. I have also discovered that Nchuleftingth you were looking for. Apparently Nchuleftingth is the proper name for the large Dwemer ruins south of Dagon Fell. Be careful not to confuse them with the ruins of Dark nearby. The last of the Dwemer Centurion spiders in the upper levels was finally disabled and dismantled for study. I wish we could study them while they are still active, but that is far too dangerous. I also heard a strange story about the Centurion spider that we captured and sent back to Cyrodiil. The ship captain I hired wrote to me with an odd story. He said that the spider nearly broke through its cage several times while near Vardenfell, but once he left the Sea of Ghosts, the Centurion suddenly stopped working. What happened next shows that he had more wits than I gave him credit for. He ordered the ship turned about, and as they approached Vardenfell again, the Centurion began moving just as suddenly. This is a curious phenomenon, and certainly deserves more investigation. Your servant, Snilius Gadicius. I wonder why that would be. One thing I've noticed, how are these powered? Oh, that is some rust. Here, oh, Hanging Gardens. Well, there's not much to read here. The Hanging Gardens of Waston Corridale. This book was apparently written in Dwemer and translated to Eldamaris. Only fragments of the Eldamaris are readable, but it may be enough for a scholar of Eldamaris to translate fragments of other Dwemer books. Guide Altmer Estriel led with foot flames for the town center where lay dead the quadrangular gardens. Asked the foundations and chains and vessels their naming places why they did not use solid sound to teach escape from the earth bones, nor nourish them with frozen flames. The word I shall have once written of, this art our lesser cousins speak of when their admirable ignorance, but neither words nor experience cleanses the essence of the strange and terrible ways of defying our ancestors' transient rules. The translation ends with a comitant Dwemer in a different hand, which you can translate. Put down your ardent cutting globes, Bethilde. Your Eldamaris has the correct words, but they cannot be properly misinterpreted. I'll take this. I wonder if Edwina could use that book. Oh. Well, here it seems to end. There wasn't much more to this place. I don't want ebony. Well, if I was ever looking for Dwemer or scrap metal, Dwemer scrap metal, this is the place to go. Lots of it here. Hey, Shani, you're holding me up. I don't know what that machine is doing. Maybe that's all he heard going. There's a trap here. An armor hammer. Ancient, there's a key there. Key to two steel and iron doors within the Dwemer ruin of Nchuleftingth east of Malek. I actually have the key like that already. Dwemer curious. Another armor hammer. Hot, 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 hot. Really, the heat pours up from that. We'll have to send somebody down there to bury that poor Dwemer. I thought this was going to open. Oh, this section opened up. I wonder if it's possible to open up this section. This section. Maybe that's... okay, forget it. I got what I came for. I don't know anything else here. Hello again. Did you find Nchuleftingth? Did you get the excavation report? I did. I feared he might be dead. This is terrible news. I should never have let him explore the ruins alone. Did you find the excavation report? I do. Have it. You found the report. Deliver it to Edwina, Albert, and Alderone. I will continue my work here. Now that the lower levels are open, perhaps we can make more discoveries here, in honor of our deceased colleague, Nchuleftingth. Do you know about this book, Hanging Gardens? This book is written in both Dwemer and Eldameris. If you can find a scholar who can read Eldameris, this might be the translation key we've been looking for. This is a very exciting discovery. I only wish Nchuleftingth could share it with us.
House Brother of Redera. How may I serve you?
Sorry to say your friend has died. How horrible. No, please, don't tell me the details. Do you know anything about this book? Frankly, all this study bores me. If you insist on talking about dwarves, you should talk to my father. Okay. Let's, we don't even have to just recall. Yes, of course I like doing this. Right
Well,
here.
I find myself in pleasant company. Please share your thoughts.
Azure is a good friend of Snow Rilvain and tells Snow Rilvain about the Staff of Magnus. I have it. Azure knows you have found the Staff of Magnus. Now Azure might tell you her other secret. Okay, don't you want the staff? Do you have any... Are you gonna tell me your other secret, or what? Do you have any duties? Azure will tell friends to know Rilvain another secret. Azure knows about the Warlock's Ring. Really? Tell me about it. Azure knows that Vindamia Drethen has the Warlock's Ring. Azure tells you this because Azure does not like Vindamia Drethen. She is in Ashburdon, a cave on a small island east of the ruins of Balfell. Oh, okay, that's between Tel Bernora and Vivek. Okay, my map. Thank you. I think. I'd actually like to get a couple hours sleep in a bed that's in a real bed. I'm tired. No sleep for me, I guess. Where is it? I can feel its presence. Ow. Let me get to sleep. And this is why my days are short.
I must say, I find you most interesting right now. Please go ahead.
Take me to Aldrune, please. To see Edwina.
Welcome, friend. The day is yours. What shall we talk about?
Hello again. I have the excavation report from the Nchuleftingth. Yes, here it is. Thank you, Snow Rilvain. The report will be helpful, I'm sure. Do you know anything about this book, The Hanging Gardens? Now, this is an interesting book, Snow Rilvain. It appears to be written both Dwemer and Eldameris. If you could find a scholar of Dwemer who knew Eldameris, you might be able to translate portions of the Dwemer text. This book is priceless in the right hands. Interesting. Is it possible to get an advancement? The Mage's Guild appreciates the duties you've done, but you simply do not meet the requirements for a wizard. Okay, do you have any more duties? I want you to find some Dwemer plans or blueprints. Really? Where? Senelius already sent the blueprints he found in Nchuleftingth to the Emperor, but the excavation report mentioned Mazuleft. which is southwest of Dagenfell. You will need to swim or fly across parts of the Sea of Ghosts. Bring back any plans or blueprints you find. Okay, so... What is the name of this place? Nchuleftingth. Okay, so that's where you want me to go now. I guess I'm doing all these hunting down Dwemer places for you. Finding items, getting reports.
How are you?
Welcome. What is it, friend?
At least it's been a nice day.
Is there something you need?
No, not at all.